Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into some really fascinating, maybe even controversial territory with Alfred Adler.
Yeah, Adler. He's often overshadowed by Freud and Jung, but his ideas,
Wow.
they offer incredibly direct answers about, well, how to be happy.
And the central promise is huge, isn't it? This idea that you can change right now. You can be happy now, no matter your past.
Exactly. But, and it's a big but, it requires this fundamental shift in thinking. It challenges almost everything we assume about why we feel the way we feel.
Okay, so we need to talk about that core conflict first. You called it etiology versus teleology.
That's it. Etiology, that's the standard view, cause and effect. Something bad happened in your past, some trauma, and that causes your problems today. Think Freud.
Right. Your past dictates your present. Makes sense. Feels intuitive.
It does. But Adler flips it. Teleology is about purpose, about goals. He says your present behavior isn't determined by past causes, but by the goals you are choosing right now.
Goals I'm choosing now. Okay. That's already a lot to take in.
It is. And that's our mission today, really, to unpack these ideas, see how they challenge us, but also how they might offer a real path to freedom.
Let's start with the most jarring claim, then. Adler's denial of trauma.
Okay, yeah. Brace yourself. He says trauma as this definitive cause of current misery doesn't really exist in the way we think it does.
Whoa. Okay. How does he explain, say, someone who's housebound, crippled by anxiety, panic attacks? Maybe they were bullied terribly or had abusive parents. Etiology says that past trauma caused this.
Right, the standard explanation. But Adler, using teleology, would say something different.
What? That the past didn't happen?
No, the past happened, but it doesn't force the present outcome. Adler would suggest that person has a current goal, the goal of not going out.
A goal? Why would anyone want that?
Well, maybe it feels safer, avoids potential pain, judgment. Who knows? But the key is, Adler says they manufacture the symptoms, the anxiety, the panic, maybe even physical pains, as the means to achieve that goal. The anxiety isn't the cause, it's the tool.
I have to push back a bit here. That sounds dangerously close to blaming the victim. What about diagnosed PTSD? Are you saying that's just manufactured?
It's a really important distinction. Adler isn't denying the reality of suffering or the impact of events. He's focused on the meaning we assign. He famously said, no experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. We make out of them whatever suits our purposes.
Okay. We make out of them.
Whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self-determining. So the event happened, but you choose what it means for you now.
So the same event could happen to two people. One uses it as fuel, the other feels crushed by it because they assign different meanings. The ingredients are the same, but the recipe is chosen.
That's a great way to put it. And crucially, if you choose the meaning, you can choose to change it right now.
Okay, let's apply this to emotions then. Anger. I'm in a cafe, waiter spills coffee all over me, I explode. Surely that anger is just a reaction, cause and effect.
Adler would say you fabricated that anger.
Fabricated. It felt real. My heart was pounding.
Oh, the physical response is real, sure.
Yeah.
But the choice to express it as intense anger served a purpose. What was your goal?
Oh, to get an apology, to make him clean it up, to show how upset I was.
Exactly. Your goal was probably quick submission, maybe making the waiter feel bad. Shouting, showing rage is a very efficient, if unpleasant, tool to achieve that without needing, say, a calm explanation. It's faster.
Pastor, yeah, okay, I can see the tool aspect.
Think about the classic example.
Yeah.
A mother is screaming at her child, absolutely furious. The phone rings. Instantly, she picks up, calm, polite voice. Oh, hello, Mrs. Davis.
Huh. Yes, I've seen that.
She hangs up, turns back to the child, and boom, the rage is back on, right where she left it. She turned the anger off and on like a switch. It was a tool she chose to use and could choose to put down.
She put it away and picked it back up. Okay, that makes the purposeful nature very clear.
So, if emotions can be tools and the meaning of the past is chosen, then unhappiness itself must be a choice too. That's the logical conclusion in Adlerian psychology. He talks about a life lie. People choose unhappiness because, strange as it sounds, their current unhappy lifestyle feels safer or more practical than risking change.
How can unhappiness be practical?
Consider someone who dreams of being a novelist. They've written a manuscript, maybe it's even good, but they never submit it. They feel stalled, frustrated, unhappy.
Why not just send it out?
Because if they submit it and get rejected, they face the reality. Maybe they aren't good enough, the dream dies. But if they never submit
They
it...
can keep the fantasy alive. I could be great if only I tried.
Precisely. Their goal becomes leave the possibility of I can do it if I try open. The unhappiness, the frustration is the price they pay to avoid the potential pain of failure. It feels, in a twisted way, safer.
Wow. Okay. So if the past isn't the deterministic cause, and our internal states are often chosen tools, then the real root of our problems must lie elsewhere.
Exactly. Which brings us to the next huge Adlerian principle. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems.
All problems. Seriously, what about feeling inadequate or anxious about a presentation? That feels internal.
But think about it. If you were literally the only being in the entire universe, would you feel inadequate? Who would you compare yourself to? Would you feel anxious about presenting to whom?
Loneliness itself wouldn't exist. Problems arise because we exist in relation to others.
Okay, I see the logic. So even something like an inferiority complex, that's social.
Absolutely. Adler distinguishes between a normal feeling of inferiority, which we all have. It's just noticing others are better at something, and it can motivate us to grow.
That sounds healthy, actually.
It is. It's subjective. But it becomes an inferiority complex when you start using that feeling as an excuse.
An excuse for what?
For inaction. Oh, I can't apply for that job because I don't have a fancy degree, or I can't ask her out because I'm too awkward. It's using the feeling to justify not trying. A is the situation, so B cannot be done. Adler calls it apparent cause and effect. It's a lie we tell ourselves.
That example of the student with the blushing phobia comes to mind. That was powerful. Yes, the young woman terrified of blushing, especially around a man she liked. What was her goal, teleologically speaking?
You said her goal was to avoid rejection.
Exactly. To avoid the potential pain of him saying no, or worse, negating her entirely. So she unconsciously creates the fear of blushing.
As a kind of safety net.
Precisely. Now she can tell herself, I can't possibly pursue this relationship because I have this terrible blushing problem. It allows her to keep the fantasy of what might be alive while neatly avoiding the risk of actual vulnerability and potential rejection. The symptom becomes her shield.
That's ingenious and heartbreaking at the same time, creating a disorder to avoid life's risks. And this ties into trying to be special.
It does. When people lack the courage to engage with life on equal footing, they might develop what Adler called a superiority complex.
So, boasting, acting like you're better than everyone.
It almost always stems from a deep-seated feeling of inferiority. They're terrified no one will accept them as they are, so they puff themselves up, trying to force recognition or admiration.
Or they go the other way, right? Bragging about how bad things are for them.
Yes. That's another road to feeling special. Oh, you think you have problems? You have no idea what I'm going through. By emphasizing their unique suffering, they demand special treatment, attention, control. It makes them unique. Adler noted how weakness can actually be quite powerful in manipulating others.
Okay, so if all these issues, complexes, fabricated emotions, life lies, stem from our entanglement with others and how they perceive us, the way out must involve disconnecting from that.
In a sense, yes. The truly radical step towards freedom, according to Adler, is to deny the need for recognition from others. Stop living to meet their expectations.
Whoa, deny recognition. But isn't that natural? Don't we need validation to function socially?
We need belonging, yes. But Adler argues that constantly seeking recognition or praise is a trap. If your life is built around satisfying what others want, you end up living their life, not your own. You're chasing rewards, avoiding punishments, never figuring out who you truly are.
Okay, theory is one thing. How do you do that? How do you actually untangle yourself? What's the tool?
A core tool is the separation of tasks. It starts with a simple but profound question. Ultimately, whose task is this?
Whose task is this? Okay, let's use the parent-child study example again. Parent nagging the kid to study. Whose task is this studying?
The outcome of the studying, the learning, the grades, the consequences belongs 100% to the child. That's the child's task.
And the parent's nagging.
That's the parent intervening in the child's task. Often, the parent is actually fulfilling their own goals, wanting to look like a good parent, relieving their own anxiety, seeking control. That's intervention.
So the parent should just do nothing, let the kid fail.
Not do nothing. Offer support, provide resources, be available. That's assistance. But assistance respects the boundary. You can lead a horse to water.
But you can't make it drink. The drinking is the horse's task.
Okay. The parent's task is to create a supportive environment, maybe offer help if asked, but not to force the outcome.
Let's try a work example. My boss is a nightmare. Angry, critical, never gives positive feedback. I feel paralyzed, like I can't do good work because he'll just tear it down.
Okay, apply separation of tasks. Whose task is it to do your job to the best of your ability?
Mine, obviously.
Right. And whose task is it to manage his anger, his expectations, his way of giving feedback?
His task. Okay.
And whose task is it to judge your work?
Ultimately, his, I guess, in a hierarchical sense.
It's his task to form his judgment.
Yeah.
It's not your task to control his judgment or his emotional reaction. So you focus diligently on your task, doing good work. You recognize his anger and criticism are his issues, his tasks to manage.
But if I just ignore his reactions, won't he just get angrier? Won't there be consequences?
There might be consequences. That's reality. But you separate. You do your task.
Yeah.
How he reacts to that is his task. When you stop trying to manage his emotions or desperately seek his approval tasks, which are not yours, you regain your freedom. His behavior loses its power over your internal state. You're no longer expending energy trying to control the uncontrollable.
That's liberating, actually. Difficult, but liberating. This relates to the idea of horizontal relationships, doesn't it? Moving away from judgment, praise, and rebuke.
Exactly. Praise, surprisingly, is seen as problematic in Adlerian thought
Why? Praise feels good.
because it often comes from a vertical relationship. Think about who usually gives praise: a boss to an employee, a parent to a child, a teacher to a student. It subtly implies I, the person with ability or authority, am judging you, the person without. It reinforces a hierarchy.
So even saying good job is sort of looking down.
It can be perceived that way, unconsciously. It implies your worth is dependent on meeting my standard. The alternative, based on horizontal equal relationships, is encouragement.
Okay, so encouragement instead of praise. What does that look like? My partner cleans the kitchen. I don't say good job. What do I say?
You express gratitude from an equal level. Thank you so much.
What?
Wow, that's a huge help. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful for your effort. You acknowledge their contribution and express sincere appreciation.
It focuses on the contribution and my gratitude, not on my judgment of their performance.
Exactly. And that feeling of contributing, of being helpful, is a core source of courage and belonging, what Adler called community feeling.
Right, community feeling. That sense of, it's okay to be here. You said there are 3 pillars to building that.
Yes, 3 key shifts: self-acceptance, confidence in others, and contribution to others.
Self-acceptance. This isn't about telling yourself you're amazing when you're not, is it?
No, it's what Adler called affirmative resignation. It's accepting yourself as you are right now, flaws and all. If you only scored 60%, you accept the 60%. You don't pretend it's 100%, but you accept it without condemnation and then figure out how to move towards 65%.
Okay, realistic acceptance. Then confidence in others.
This means choosing to trust others, basically unconditionally, even knowing you might get hurt or taken advantage of.
That sounds risky.
It is. But whether someone betrays your trust is ultimately their task, their choice. Your task is to decide whether you will live a life based on trust or suspicion. Choosing trust, despite the risks, enables genuine connection and contribution.
And that contribution to others,
Right.
feeling useful, that's where self-worth comes from.
It's a huge source of it, yes. Feeling I am beneficial to the community, however small.
But what about people who can't do much? Someone very elderly or very ill, how do they contribute? Do they lack worth?
Absolutely not. Adler emphasizes worth on the level of being. Think about a loved one who is seriously ill in the hospital. You don't value them for the tasks they can perform.
No, of course not. You're just grateful they're alive. Their existence itself matters.
Exactly. Just by being alive, by existing within the community, they contribute. Their presence impacts others, offers opportunities for connection, for care. We're useful just by being. You don't have to achieve great things to have worth.
Just being is enough. That's a profound shift from our usual productivity-obsessed view.
It is. And it leads to the final big idea about how to live. Seeing life not as a line, but as a dance.
Not a line leading to some future goal, like climbing a mountain.
Right. We often think life only gets real when we reach the summit, retirement, the big promotion, whatever. Adler says no. Life is a series of moments, like dots. If you shine a spotlight intensely on the here and now, the past and future fade.
So focus on this moment.
Live this moment earnestly, conscientiously, like dancing. When you're dancing, you're not obsessed with reaching a specific spot on the floor 5 minutes from now. Each step, each movement is the point.
Be fully engaged in the dance of this moment.
That's the idea. Live so earnestly now that the concept of completion or reaching a final destination becomes irrelevant.
Okay, so wrapping this up, Adler asks for a lot of courage. Courage to let go of the past as destiny, courage to stop using symptoms as excuses, courage to separate tasks, to shift from judging to encouraging.
And maybe the biggest courage of all, the courage to define your own meaning for life.
We started by asking how to be happy, and Adler's answer seems tied to that philosophical point. Life in general has no meaning.
Which sounds bleak, but it's followed by the liberating part. Whatever meaning life has must be assigned to it by the individual.
If life has no pre-packaged meaning, then you're free, completely free to choose it, right now.
And that freedom, that courage to live according to the meaning you assign often means having the courage to be disliked, because you won't be living to meet everyone else's expectations anymore.
The courage to be disliked, that's the freedom Adler offers. A challenging, but maybe ultimately freeing thought to leave you with today.